What matters to me is why we do things. What exactly fuels us to do the things we do? This is an important question for understanding why we do things and how ecosystems function. This question is ingrained in our biology. What we prioritize and why. How do we get the fuel to do the things that we need to do? The answer to this lies in cellular energetics. Cellular energetics lays the foundation for understanding all of life's energy processes and is key in understanding what drives us in every organism. Many chemical reactions take place to ensure that organisms have energy for what they do. This is called metabolism. Metabolism is all the chemical reactions in a cell or organism. This includes how cells get energy, like digestion. These cellular processes can be sped up by enzymes. Enzymes speed up reactions by lowering the activation energy required for the reactions to occur. Enzymes have an active site that the substance binds to and is processed from there. The substance an enzyme works on is called a substrate. Only certain substrates can activate an enzyme, and this is by design. This is to ensure that multiple substances can be processed at the same time by different enzymes. Enzymes help your body process carbohydrates, lipids, and fats in everything you eat. But how exactly do cells get energy from the food they eat? This process is called cellular respiration. All organisms go through this to get energy. Cellular respiration is when cells break down glucose to release energy in the form of ATP. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate and is very important to the health of a cell. This type of energy, ATP, fuels almost every system in an organism. Cellular respiration occurs in the mitochondria and cytoplasm of the eukaryotic cells. This process is integral to life of an organism and the basis for why animals and plants do the things they do. Next, we will cover the systems that cause plants and animals to look and act the way they do.
Is gene regulation important? What is gene expression and regulation? This controls how genetic information is used in cells. DNA acts like a blueprint for the processes of transcription and translation, converting the information to proteins. How is this important? You may be thinking, having knowledge and understanding can help with concluding questions regarding medicine, agriculture, and biotechnology. Some examples are creating genetically modified crops, manipulating biological systems, improving human health, and addressing global challenges. Let's get into more detail. Since gene regulation controls which genes are turned on, basically meaning expressed, the different gene patterns cause cells to have different set of proteins, each of which has its own special job. A good example of this is the liver. Livers remove toxic substances, including alcohol, from your bloodstream. Liver cells express a gene encoding subunits of an enzyme. Your brain doesn't remove toxins from the body, which leaves your genes turned off. How are genes regulated in us? There is a chromatin accessibility, which is the structure of chromatin being regulated. Having a more relaxed chromatin makes a gene available for transcription. You may be really confused with all these new words thrown at you, but let me clarify them to you. Transcription is the key regulatory point for many genes. They bind to specific DNA sequences to promote or repress transcription into RNA. RNA processing is basically the splicing, capping, and addition of a polytail to an RNA molecule that can be regulated so it can exit from the nucleus. Translation is the process of making proteins using genetic info from the mRNA. Finally, the protein activity, which can undergo many modifications, like being chopped or tagged. Gene regulation can also occur in prokaryotes. The only difference is that they lack a nucleus. DNA is in the cytoplasm. RNA transcription and protein formation happens simultaneously, and gene expression is regulated mainly at the transcription level. How does gene regulation differ among each species? The unique structure and functions are different and similar. Researchers have assumed that changes in gene regulation play a huge part in making humans and different species different from one another. The main point of gene regulation and expression determines which genes are expressed and not. Ecology is important for studying interactions between organisms and their environment. An animal's response to stimulus is called their behavior. What exactly causes behavior? There will be a proximate and an ultimate cause. The proximate cause is how, and the ultimate cause is why. There are innate behaviors which are born, and learned behaviors that depend on the environmental influence. When animals learn, they are changing their behavior based on experience. How is energy transferred through ecosystems? The first law of energy states that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It is only transferred. In an ecosystem, there are primary consumers that get their energy from light, secondary consumers that eat the herbivores, aka the primary consumers, and tertiary consumers that eat other carnivores, and decomposers that get their energy from non-living organic material. This is a food chain, the transfer of food energy up trophic levels. So how do animals interact with each other? Interactions between individuals of different species are called interspecific interactions. There can be different relationships between species. Competition is when species compete for resources. Predation is when one kills another. And herbivory is when an organism eats part of a plant. When two or more species are in direct contact with each other, it is called symbiosis. Some symbiotic relationships are parasitism, when one derives nourishment from another, mutualism, when both organisms help each other, and commensalism, when one benefits and the other is not affected. One common relationship in plant species is facilitation, when one has a positive effect on the survival and reproduction of another without being close, like symbiosis. So, what is the significance of biodiversity in ecosystem? A community is a group of different populations living closely and interacting. Species will have roles and positions in their environments called their ecological niche. Biodiversity is a variety of different organisms within a community. Species richness is the amount of different species and relative abundance in the proportion each species represents in the community. Biodiversity boosts production and makes the ecosystem more resilient. Finally, human activity and biogeographical factors can threaten biodiversity. A disturbance is an event that changes a community by removing organisms from it or altering resource availability. Human disturbances can include habitat loss, invasive species, overharvesting, and global change. Biogeographical factors are large-scale factors that contribute to a range of diversity observed. These include the latitude, area, and pathogens.
Hi Marlene, I want to ask you a few questions. So what matters to you about biology?
I think understanding how living things function and interact matters. So,
Okay, do you believe that genetic information is important?
yeah,
Why?
because it basically determines how organisms develop and their function in life.
So what do you think will happen if we never study genetic information and heredity?
I think a lot of medical advances would be gone and our understanding of diseases would probably be impacted.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Mom. So what matters to you in biology?
Well, I like to watch National Geographic documentaries, and some of those touch on biology, like the national parks I was interested in. There was one about the Amazon rainforest and all the animals. I'm very intrigued by how smart octopuses are, and they might take over the world, I hear.
Oh yeah, they're really cool.
Yeah.
So did you take AP biology in high school?
I did not. I took AP chemistry. I took honors biology in 9th grade. And the thing that sticks out in my memory from that is looking through the microscope and realizing that the microscope flip-flopped the image. That's what I remember from AP Bio.
Wow, it's very interesting. Thank you. Thank you for your interview.
So, Mom, what matters to you in biology?
Well, Maddie, what matters to me in biology is understanding ourselves and how our bodies work and understanding the world around us.
And why do you think we should learn about ecology?
It teaches us how to keep a healthy ecosystem.
Okay, and how does ecology affect you?
Well, a balanced ecosystem affects the health of everyone.
Thank you, Mom.
You're welcome.